Okay, guys, trying to get the light right. That's a little bit better. Okay. Hi, I'm Judy, and I'm with Hildegard Girls. And I'll start off just talking a little bit about Hildegard Girls. Hildegard of Bingen, Christian mystic, came to a group of us in March of 2010 officially as a group, and started to give us messages and started to give us a series of meditations that she said was her new work for the world. And in the process of that, she asked us to share that work with the world and said that it would be creating a church without walls. And out of the three of us at that time, I was the one that she was appointing to be that. So because of that, Brother Sean with Does for Peace calls me Judy Hildegard. So I think that's pretty good. I'll take it. So in 2012, it really took me a while to do it. In fact, I sat with it for about a year. After we'd received about a year's worth of meditations and messages from Hildegard, compiled it all together and figured out a way that we could start to share it across the web. So we created a blog. It's called Hildegard Says Hello, and we have a Facebook page which is called Hildegard Girls, and a Twitter feed which is called Hildegard Girls. So if you like any of those social pages, come and join us and find Hildegard Girls there. And you can also go to the Hildegard Says Hello blog, and you can sign up to follow that. And I'll make a promise, as I've said before, guiltily, that I'll put more stuff up on the blog. I'm really good about doing Facebook. I usually place part of one of these meditations or, little pieces with pictures throughout the week on Hildegard Girls on Facebook, which makes it to Twitter. So what I thought I would talk about today, the title of the talk today is about finding spiritual community. Certainly Does for Peace is a spiritual community. It's fantastic. I mean, it's amazing to me, kind of the authenticity of it and the fact that you can see all these different people from around the world talking about things that are really important to them and that have really happened to them, or they're wisdom keepers of things that you just don't hear out in the normal day-to-day world. So, and they expand your consciousness. They make you think harder about things. Like maybe you didn't really know about that, and then you start to learn about that, and you can incorporate that into as at least a possibility of something that is happening out. So that's the thing. I mean, with all this that happened with Hildegard Girls, if you had asked me before 2010, I had experiences, but I kept compartmentalizing them, and I didn't add them up and see them, and I just didn't see them from a bigger perspective. I just kept seeing them as isolated incidents that happened to me, and I didn't realize that I was being called to or invited to do something bigger or to expand my consciousness, to take steps out. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I mean, for me, as those things would happen, though, I would feel less comfortable, say, in the traditional container of a church. It wasn't that I didn't think Jesus was wonderful and I didn't think church was sweet and fun and I loved being with people, but I just still didn't feel like I was hearing what I needed to hear and being fed in a way that I needed to be fed. So really, from about 2000 onwards, I have sporadically sought out spiritual community. One of the groups that I connected with probably about 2004 or 5 was the Labyrinth Society, which is an international organization that volunteers, artists, therapists, it's an incredible group. I mean, you should look it up, of people who build labyrinths, create them as art installations, and share them for all sorts of therapeutic purposes. Jeff Sayward, who is a world-renowned expert in labyrinths, created the Worldwide Labyrinth Locator, and there's a link to that. You probably find it directly on the web, but I know there's a link on the Labyrinth Society's website. And also through another labyrinth-related charity, which I've loved, is Farideh Toss. Farideh Toss is a group that offers all sorts of spiritual community retreats, pilgrimage around the labyrinth, and is based in San Francisco. You can look that one up. Farideh Toss is a word that is a Hildegard word meaning juiciness, greenness, and so that's their name. So those are two groups that earlier in really 1999, and then later I started on the board for the Labyrinth Society. I think it was like around 2004 or 5, something like that. Incredible. And then this stuff happened with my friend in 2009. This group that we had, where we were opening to spirit, and after having those experiences, a place that Amy, one of the group, had found called Lilydale became another tremendous resource for me as far as community. And that's really what I wanted to talk about today, because Lilydale first. Lilydale is a place, it is a spiritualist community that opens itself to the public in the summer. From late June, I believe, through August. This Victorian village that sits about an hour outside of Buffalo, New York, is open daily to the public. And they have, it's precious just itself. The cutest little thing, all these Victorian houses and all pedestrian, kind of walking around, and beautiful gardens, and all sorts of programs that are happening. Like, you pay a little fee to go into Lilydale. If you're just going for the day, you would pay just a little fee to go in for the day. And there are events that are happening. It could be a church service, it could be a healing service. Mediums actually do messages at what they call the stump, which is this beautiful outdoor area in the woods. And then there'll be other little things that are offered throughout the day that you can go do. There's places to eat. There are places to sit and visit with people. You can make appointments with mediums to talk to them. So that whole idea of going and visiting with mediums at a spiritualist community was completely uncomfortable an idea with me until my friend Amy introduced me to the idea, and I went with her. And what I realized when I went there was that this was one of many different places, like, of spiritual community where people are kind of holding wisdom around a specific thing for all of us to take advantage of. And I say that, like, if it was the Labyrinth Society, I would say, look at the geomancers and the artists and the energy workers and the therapists and that gather, or land artists that gather around this tool of a labyrinth and all the different ways that they've used it to heal people. I had no idea all that was going on. The same with Farideh Toss, because it's really, and for me, Farideh Toss taught me the power of pilgrimage, stepping really outside of your life, doing that consent to God and allowing God to work through you. And that's when I met Hildegard at Chartres Cathedral. That was in 1999. That was the first time I had a true physical, what the spiritualists would call a channeled experience with Hildegard. And that was part of why I was motivated to go to Lilydale about 5 years ago, because I'd had enough experiences, certainly within the circle with Hildegard coming to us. I had a lot of questions, and I wanted to have a better understanding of what it meant, some of these different experiences, is why they were different. I mean, they were different sensory experiences, and I wanted to understand that. But what I discovered when I went to Lilydale was that was only part of what I was going to get from it. It was such a relief to me to go to a place and talk about some of the things, the experiences that I had had, and people completely understood. These weren't so out of the box for the majority of people that I would meet at Lilydale that you couldn't have an honest, really in-depth mind-expanding, informational conversation about things, and really feel like maybe you walked away with your own insights about what was happening, and even direction of how to take it farther and farther and farther. So Lilydale, as I said, is opened in the summers, and the community itself has, just like any community, has people that live there all year round. And then in it, there are these Victorian houses that are bed and breakfast, and there are also 2 hotels that are run by the Lilydale Assembly that actually is like the governing body for the village of Lilydale. So there are places that you can go and stay literally in the little village, and it's great. It's so lovely and interesting. It sits on a lake. Like I said, it's full of gardens. The weather is wonderful there in the summer. The area itself is, you're an hour to hour and a half, depending on which side of Niagara Falls you want to go see. You're in the Finger Lakes area of western New York, westernish New York, near Lake Erie. Lots of lakes, so you've got that. And then not 25 minutes from there by car is another famous place called Chautauqua Institute. And literally world-renowned musicians, politicians, theologians, all sorts of artists gather at Chautauqua and host events, speeches, all sorts of things. So that's another thing that you can do when you're up in this area. And as I said, it's open from about late June to August. So I'm going this summer. I'll be up there. And every time I go, I want to stay longer, just because I've met so many nice people. And it's such an opportunity. It's truly a vacation. I feel like I disconnect from my normal routine in the way that you're really sitting around talking with people and connecting with people. There's just a lot of like human contact, human communication there that I love, and it's encouraged. Like, there are places to go have lunch and to sit and to talk. And the other thing that's tremendous, and I would recommend it to anybody, is that there's a great amount of learning opportunity there, of classes you can take. They might be a couple hours to a whole week, and you can look on the Lilydale website and see all the different classes that are being offered throughout the summer. I would highly recommend to anybody who has an interest to try to carve out a few days to be at Lilydale. Look at the calendar. The calendar usually goes up on their website around March. So if you can't make it to this summer's, make a note, look on the website around March next year, and you can see all the different classes that are being offered, and pick one that really resonates with you, and see what happens, what you learn from it, because it's just been fantastic for me. So there's that. What else was I going to tell you about that? Oh, there was something else, and now I'm blanking. Oh, I know what it was. Also, I had no idea until I went to this community that there were all sorts of published works around experiences that people had had with spirit, being connected to spirit, channeling spirit, having messages from spirit. It's mind-boggling. And I mean, maybe it had never even occurred to me to look at such a thing, maybe on Amazon or something. But the one thing I'll say about Lilydale is it's still kind of old-fashioned. It's like, if you sign up now, you can at least do it online. You still get, like, I just got it yesterday, a letter confirming my class space, just like the old days, like you get old tickets or something. It was just kind of sweet. But the other thing is, as far as I know, so far they're still not on Amazon. So the only way that you can get books is you might be able to call and get them to send you this. I'll show it to you. They just have, this is literally the book directory of books that you can get. And this is how they list it. So they have a phone number, They have a phone number and they have an email. Put it up closer. You can see it. So it's an option. You could just look up Lilydale on the computer, and there's probably a link to something about books. I would think that there would be. But you can, there are tremendous resource is what I'm saying. If you want to seek it out, you can see what different books and publications they have to offer to read about if you can't make it directly to Lilydale. And there are a couple videos online, but they're really not as good as maybe reading one of these books, not at this point. So there's that. And then right down the street from Lilydale is basically another faction that's a spiritualist community. They're actually within Lilydale and spiritualism, there's spiritualism as a philosophy, which is basically that life exists beyond this life and that there is a higher source and that you ought to be the best person and be kind and loving within this life. I mean, I think that's pretty much the gist of spiritualism as a philosophy. Then there are like at least 3, maybe 4 different denominations of spiritualist churches that exist. 2 or 3 of them, I think, have places on campus within this Lilydale Village. And I don't know, I think this is just an independent church that's down the street. But see, it's called Fellowship of the Spirit. It's great. Like, you can go down there too, and they have circles that you can join during the week. They have a church service. There's daily church services at Lilydale. They're precious. And those healing services are fabulous. But this is also another resource, and so it would be another place to look up online, like Fellowship of the Spirit. And as you look up Lilydale, look up Fellowship of the Spirit, and then you'll see all that's going on maybe during that week that you're thinking about going. That's what I do. All right, well, I'm going to close with a prayer. I could go on and on, but I'm going to close with a prayer, and this is one of the prayers that we received from Spirit from Hildegard. We're calling it the Arrow. It might be the official title. I haven't decided. This is one that we kind of lost track of and then found just maybe like 3 months ago. Okay. If you want to close your eyes, you're welcome to. The arrow flies at your hand, at your own hand, or stays within the quiver. All choices of conflict are yours to make. Frustrations may abound, but releasing each like a leaf falling from your tree allows for the winter of calm to enter your soul. Then spring will come again, bursting forth from the wounds of the long ago fall. Let love guide your actions. Allow prayer to be your passage. Sing your happiness at the beginning of each day and thankfulness to fill your heart as you enter the restful kingdom. For the arrows that come your way are but a single slight in an eternity of understanding. Leaving the scene of battle will fare you better in the world to come than driving arrows into unrepentant hearts. Your role is not to mold the character of others, but to create your own paths to peace in this battlefield. Harmony may remain elusive on the exterior, but is easily found within. I leave that with you with blessings. I encourage you to seek out spiritual community. Locally, I'm a member of the Centering Prayer Community. It doesn't fit every single need I have, but it's been nice because it's connected me back to the church in a way. And that's another international organization called Contemplative Outreach that is Christian related. It's an interdenominational Christian outreach program. So there are both Catholics and Protestants involved in it. I'm Episcopalian. It's been nice for me to be able to be a part of the church community in a way that really does feed me, because sitting in the center and sitting in silence and inviting and consenting to God to come and work through me is what this is about. And it is what the Hildegard work is about. It really is about individual practice. It is using a meditative prayer practice. It's using these meditations and lessons that are pointing us in a direction toward wholeness and healing that's Hildegard's message really through all the Hildegard girls' work. So if you haven't taken a look at it, go take a look at it. They're all beautiful. Feel free to print stuff if you can figure out how to print it. There's a PDF of some of the meditations, and we're going to get our act together and just put all the meditations in one PDF file, like in an ebook reader file. So you'll be able to download those onto your tablet or your Kindle or whatever. So that's a goal, but that's really, this is a part of our service work in the world, and I also believe that is that we're all being led through our healing and wholeness to find a way to serve God, and Hildegard Girls is one of the ways that I'm trying to do what Hildegard asked me to do. Like, you know, like if you're on a committee and somebody assigns you a task, this is mine. So I'm hoping that this is what she wants, and if she doesn't, she needs to tell me. So anyway, I hope y'all have a great day, and I hope that this recording works, because I have really been snake bit when it's come to working the live stream thing. So fingers crossed that everybody gets to see these, and find Hildegard Girls on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you. Bye-bye.